Hey everybody, welcome back to my neck of the woods. Today's Monday and we are just getting started with the big winter storm. So I'm going to take advantage of some time inside to cook a few homemade items from our pantry for our Three Rivers challenge. First on my to-do list is to make some oatmeal jam bars. I'm using up some fig jam that I've had for several years in the cabinet. I had a half a loaf of homemade bread I needed to use up, so I made some seasoned croutons for the recipe I'm going to show you next, and I used the other half to make a French toast bake that we are going to have for breakfast the next morning. So for lunch on this day, we're going to have Big Mac pasta salad. I am starting by browning my ground beef with some onions and garlic, and then I'm going to add a half a box of cooked and cooled elbow macaroni. Then I will add about a quarter of a cup of relish, about a half a cup of diced American cheese. I had two little Roma tomatoes left from our garden, so I used those to off. We're finally done with our garden tomatoes. And then I had about a half a bottle of Thousand Island dressing, so I subbed that instead of making the actual recipe for Big Mac secret sauce. I also showed in that last slide the finished oatmeal fig bars, and those were amazing. And I've linked all of these recipes at the end of the video so you can check them out yourself. I also did 4 loaves of fresh made bread because it was time. So breakfast on day 5 were we had egg sandwiches. Lunch was the Big Mac pasta salad that I showed you how to make. And for dinner that night, I just sauteed some seasoned pork chops, and we had corn on the cob that I froze from our garden this year. Our day 6 meals included the baked French toast casserole that I had prepped the day before. We had just leftover vegetable soup with some grilled cheese sandwiches for lunch. And for supper, I made a barbecue chicken cornbread casserole. And this utilized some of the home canned chicken breasts that I made or that I canned over the summer. On day 7 of our pantry challenge, it was pretty straightforward. We ate leftovers all 3 meals. The one new addition was I did make some dill pickle fritters. I'm trying to use up 5 or 6 jars that I have left of soggy pickles. When I very my very first canning project was making pickles and I didn't do it quite right, and so I have some jars that are perfectly edible, but they're really soggy, and so no one will eat them. Our day 8 meals consisted of egg sandwiches for breakfast. My son made us Italian grilled cheese sandwiches for lunch. He found a partial container of home canned pizza sauce, and that's what he used to make those. And for supper, I made Indian food. I did some potato chickpea curry, turmeric coconut rice, and my take on some garlic naan. It was so good. On day 9, I did some sausage links and pancakes for breakfast. I love mine with some peanut butter smeared on top. I don't, is that nostalgic for anyone else from their childhood? Because that's how I have to eat my pancakes 99% of the time. For lunch, I let my son take on a little project making some homemade chicken nuggets because that's something that we both really do enjoy when we go out to eat. And since we're not eating out or purchasing anything, we made some homemade ones from the home canned chicken that I did over the summer. They turned out pretty good. They needed to be a little thinner. That's the one thing we'll do different next time because it made them a little dry. And then for supper that night, I just made biscuits and gravy casserole. I had laid out a package of ground pork, so I had all the seasonings to make that into sausage, and I used a Jiffy biscuit mix for the top, and who doesn't love breakfast for dinner? On day 10 of the pantry challenge, we did leftovers for breakfast and lunch. One thing I can say I'm really happy about doing this is I'm not throwing food away because we are utilizing all of our leftovers for meals for the next day or a couple of days out, but everything's getting eaten, and that is That is, if I don't do anything else this challenge, that is an accomplishment. For dinner that night, I did make a Parmesan chicken casserole. Um, uh, I just heated up a jar of our green beans, and then I made garlic toast because again, we had another little chunk of bread that needed to be used up before it went bad. It was about this point in the week that we got our second snowstorm. This one not quite as bad. We only picked up about probably 3 to 4 more inches of snow. But it was another day to stay inside and not do much of anything, so I did some canning. I managed to can what I had left of my chickpeas from the dinner that I made with them, which ended up being 3 pints of chickpeas. I needed something to fill in the rest of the jars to make a canner load. So I pulled out a bag of split peas. So I did 4 jars of split peas to make it worth my while, if you will. So those are going into the pantry that I can use whenever. I also did some barbecue sauce. I realized that I only had 2 bottles of barbecue sauce that I typically buy on sale. So I made, I believe it was 10 pints and 4 half pints of barbecue sauce. And as promised, here are all of the websites where you can get the recipes that were my inspiration. I didn't follow any of these recipes verbatim, but this is what inspired everything that I made in this video. Some of the things I just did on my own, made up my own recipe as I went, but I hope you enjoy some of these yourself. I hope you enjoyed this week of the pantry challenge. So far, have not even left the house, so everything has been 100% from our pantry, freezer, refrigerator. Nothing purchased yet. I still have my whole $20 that I can use for some ingredients toward the end of the month.